It's great to be here this evening. Good evening, everybody. We're talking about impactful relationships this evening. In 1997, rather, had just gotten married, and I had to change my job because I was working in the same company as the man I married, and one of us had to leave, so it had to be me. So I left, and fortunately, I got employed in a bank. So after I got married and had some time off, I resumed in the bank then. And my first day of assumption of duty, I expected a very warm welcome. I had a bit of a warm welcome from some. Some were still looking at, oh, who is this person? And then after we had some form of opening prayer. It was a prayerful bank. And then after it, I went to the operations manager to be assigned to a post. And then he called on the customer service manager and said to her, Mrs. O, I'll call her Mrs. O for the purpose of this talk. I'm going to post, then had not changed my name, so he said, I'm going to post Miss Adeyinka to your unit. And she's going to be in charge of funds transfer. And I was shocked. My first day at work. The woman said, no, I can't have her. I felt, what kind of humiliation is this? Somebody just rejected me. You don't know me from anywhere. You just rejected me. And I'll note, it was a bank that wasn't one of the new generation banks then, back in Nigeria. And then so the pay wasn't so great. So people at my level were not supposed to super dress or look like they were made. But I was coming from a job. I had a car, and I tried to look my best on my first day at work. So somehow I felt there must be some beef for me, for her to just reject me without even knowing me. And she said to him, I don't want her. And good for me, the man said, no, she's coming to your department, to your unit. And then I didn't have a choice. Reluctantly, I felt bad myself. I wish I didn't have to work with her. Somebody would reject me like that on the first day. But I went there, and she said before she left the operations manager that, okay, I hope we won't sleep here today. Somebody new just coming into the bank, and you're putting her on the first transfer desk. So I went to the unit, and then she explained to me what I was supposed to do. That I was supposed to write bank checks, do any funds transfer. It was in the days that you needed to use your hand to write bank checks. And then, oh, there's some entries you would also have to post. She just explained like a minute and said, don't worry about that. I mean, you're just coming in newly. I don't think you'll be able to handle that yet. But go and write the bank checks. We're going to have a huge crowd on us because it was some time that people were buying a lot of bank checks. I mean, they were paying for some exam at that time. And she said, just go and deal with the bank checks first. But you need to be fast or else we're going to sleep in the branch today. I took that, like, what does this woman think? I'm coming from an organization where I was doing the accounts from bookkeeping to the final accounts. I was an important VIP where I was coming from. And then she's asking me to write bank checks, and she thinks that. So I saw it like a challenge, and I took up the challenge. And I made up my mind, what's in debit and credit? I'm an accountant. So I took up the challenge, started, and by the grace of God, I could write very fast. So I started to write very fast, give her to, I write in batches, I'll give her to sign. And then I decided to write the entries, even though she said, don't bother about it. So at some point in the day, I showed her the entries. She said, oh, wow, that was good. But it wasn't too, she said, oh, that's good. And then we continued like that. We didn't sleep in the branch like she envisaged. We continued until the end of the week. At the end of the week, there was TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. And then as they were making merry and doing all sorts of things, I was still very cold because I felt that wasn't a good welcome that I got. This woman said, no, we're going to name the staff of the week, which was their practice. And she got up and said, you see, when this person came into the branch on Monday, the way I responded, the way I acted, I thought, oh, why would a new person be on funds transfer desk? But to my surprise, she got the job with little explanation, and she did it very well, and I'm naming her the staff of the week. And that was how my first week in the bank, I became the staff of the week. So I looked at the woman, because All through the week, I was thinking this must be a very bad person. Even though as the week went by and I was doing my job, she kept improving, but I wasn't going to give her a chance. But you see, at that point, I was named the staff of the week. I said to myself, this is a woman I need to give a chance. I now saw from her point of view why she rejected me in the first place. She thought it was going to slow the branch down. She didn't want to slow the branch down. So I decided, no, there's something in this woman that I need to look out for. First, I realized in the course of the week that she's somebody who had a lot of influence. She was good on her job. She was good with customers. She had her hands. She had everything together. So I saw in her someone I could learn something from. So I put aside my first encounter and I decided to intentionally be her friend. And you know what? She responded. And today, the relationship of almost 24 years has been one of the best relationships I made in my life. It's been very wonderful. It's been very value-adding. And it's been, it's been awesome. When I talk about my inner circle of people, she comes into that inner circle of people. Why did I start with that story? Relationships are very important. But a lot of times we look at relationships and we say, oh, somebody gave me a first impression. And then we give up on them. If I was going to go by that first impression, Mrs. O would not be who she is to me today and who I am to her. But I looked beyond that and I decided to look at the strength of Mrs. O. Look at the positive side of her. I tried to put myself in her shoes to see why she did what she did. And when I saw that there's so many strengths in her, I decided on purpose that that's the kind of person I want to be friends with. Because she had her reasons that were very good. And she was very good with her job. Relationship is very key to everybody. You see, relationship, I'm an accountant, so I'm going to compare it to something in accounting. I was looking at relationship, and I see relationship like goodwill in a business. When you want to value a business, especially when you're having mergers or you're trying to purchase a business, there's a portion of it that is called goodwill. Goodwill is not a tangible asset, just like a relationship, but it's something that adds to the value of a business. Or when you're talking about a business, maybe the brand, the name that they have built. It's not tangible, but it forms a huge part, sometimes, in the value of a company or a business. So are relationships. Relationships are as assets. And in life and in everything, relationship, your success in life has a lot to do with the relationships that you have. See, relationships are supposed to be assets. But when you check the relationships that you have, how many of them are assets to you? Things of value, they add value to you. How many of your relationships add value to you? You see, I look at life and the categories of relationship that we can have. You know, all the relationships you have can be broken down into 5. One is with the supreme being that has authority over your life, and for us, we're Christians. So we have God as that supreme being. We worship God through Jesus. It is important that that relationship with your maker and that authority is very sound. And, you know, it's cordial enough, it's deep enough, because your relationship with your maker defines every other relationship you have. Because that relationship is a relationship with your spirit, and it molds you, it molds your character. It makes you the person that people can relate with. So it's important that you make the relationship with your maker impactful. We're talking about impactful relationships and positive impact at that. Then another relationship is with yourself. Relationship with yourself is important that you know yourself. You know your strengths, your weaknesses. You see the opportunities for growth in your life. You understand yourself enough to know where you need to grow. Because all these things add together to help you to have a right estimation of yourself. You see, you are supposed to be yourself's best cheerleader and also yourself's best critique. But you see, your ability to balance how much you appreciate yourself and how much you're able to criticize yourself Being able to balance it right determines how much self-esteem that you have. A good relationship with yourself, it's going to give you a good self-esteem. Because your relationship with yourself, when it's healthy, it sets the tone for every other relationship that you have. So you want to search yourself, do I have a very good relationship with myself? What is my self-esteem like? Sometimes we wait for others to determine your self-esteem. It's first within you. And being able to, because when you critique yourself too much, you don't see any good in you, it lowers your self-esteem. And that determines how you're able to flow with others. Another relationship is the relationship with family. And I say that a lot of relationships with family, they're not the ones you have the opportunity to choose. You don't choose your parents. You don't choose the children you have. Relationship with family. But even the ones you don't choose, you need to make it impactful. Sometimes it's not as easy, even with siblings, even with parents. There may be reasons why we can't even relate. You see, within family is a relationship with your spouse, and that's a relationship of choice. And it's important when you're making that decision, you ensure it is one that's going to impact your life and destiny positively. Another relationship is friends. Other kinds of relationships are the ones you have a choice in. Friends, they're people who are close to you, but who you have chosen by yourself. And it's important that even your friends, the people you have around you, people will tell you you're an average of the 5 closest people to you, who you are. And sometimes they tell you, show me your friends, and I'll tell you the kind of person you are. Your friendship is a relationship that when you make the choice of, it must be impactful as well. And then you talk about acquaintances. Under friends, you can put even the people, somebody you're dating, or lovers and all of that. Under friends, it can be that. And then your acquaintances, the ones you meet at work, the ones you meet in church. It is important that even the briefest of relationship, you make them impactful in your life. It's very important. And someone will ask, is it possible that even the people that I meet in church, or people I meet that is very brief, or my house help, I mean, we don't, or my nanny, or my chauffeur, if you have that here. Back in Nigeria, we say driver. Or somebody that's just a domestic staff, that they're not intimate with you, they fall under acquaintances. Can I really make that kind of relationship impactful? You see, one thing about life is that every relationship can be impactful. You know how? Because it's either you are impacting the person, or the person is impacting you. Because everyone you meet in life, some will be blessings, and some will be lessons to you. So whichever way, somebody is being impacted. So even when you meet people that you think there's no value they can add to your life, you can add value to them. In that way, you make your meeting, your coming together, impactful. You see, our Maker has made sure that people come into our lives for reasons. So everyone you have met, everyone you have had to come across your path, have come for a reason in your life. So determine to make relationships that come, no matter how brief, whether it's a month or 2, make it one that will be impactful. When we talk of impactful, what do we mean? We're talking about something that has an effect on your life. Something that sometimes is trajectory in your life. Sometimes it defines the course of your life. Sometimes. And it's important that either you are impacting someone or someone is impacting you. Make every relationship count as you go on in life. You see, another story that I'm going to use today, because we're talking about his mother's celebration. So I decided, even though this is very relevant to men, all of us have relationships. I decided to look in the Holy Book and bring out a story that is not mine, but a story that talks about a relationship. A woman-to-woman relationship that is also very relevant in our lives. You know, I brought out this story because a lot of us have challenges with our relationships. This story is a story of a relationship that is challenged. Just looking at it, it's not the best of relationships. Not about the people, but about the situation. I'm talking about the relationship of Ruth and Naomi. in the book of Ruth. Go and read the whole chapter. Because we're doing this Bible study time, so I want to make reference to the Bible. But I want you to take time and read the whole Bible and look at that relationship. It was a hopeless situation that Naomi was in. A lot of us, when things are not going right in our lives, we're not the best people to make friends with. Naomi was good enough that her daughters-in-law thought they could follow her, even when they had no husbands there. Things were not good, they were not rich. She was going back to our city to start life all over again. And her daughters-in-law decided they were going to follow her. Something attracted them to her. What are you like when things are not going great? Sometimes we make excuses of, oh, because I'm going through this now, that's why I'm cranky, that's why people can't come around me. Woman-to-woman relationship that is exceptional. The story of Ruth and Naomi. You must be attractive to people regardless of whatever you are going through, to be able to sustain, to build and sustain impactful relationship. If you read the story, you see the kind of impact that Naomi had on Ruth's life. There was something about her. It was hopeless. Maybe you are in a relationship, it could be marriage. You know, it looks like it's hopeless. This person here, there's nothing about her. On the outside, there was nothing about Naomi. But Ruth saw something in her. There must have been some strength in her. That was not about her still having sons that she could marry. You see, when the woman said, oh, there's nothing, even if I have children today, they can't be your husbands. There's nothing for you to do. Off went back. But somebody had a conviction to stay because there was an attraction to her. Is there an attraction to you that someone can stay with you even in a circumstance that is not good enough? You see, mother-in-law, daughter-in-law relationships, they're not usually the best. I mean, women are the ones that have problems with relationships the most. And then you see the daughter-in-law and the daughter and the mother-in-law, the wife and the mother-in-law rather, you see them almost at loggerheads even before they get into relationships. I mean, back then when I was growing up, people say things like, oh, I wish my mother-in-law would be dead before I even get there. And I used to tell them, somebody will wish you were dead before they marry your son. It's a law of sowing and reaping. So picking the story of Naomi and Ruth today is very deliberate. I'm intentional about it. That's not one of the kind of relationship that is great, but they had a great one. When Ruth didn't hope that she was going to get a husband there, but there was something in that woman that attracted her. Is there something about you that can attract somebody to stay with you, even in that time? You know, when I was looking at it, what was it that was in her? He said, your people will be my people and your God my God. Ruth was a Moabite. They were not the people of God. But I'm sure Ruth saw in Naomi a faith in God. And she said, I'm going to go with you. He said, even where you die, I'm going to die. She saw value in Naomi. Relationships that are impactful, that will last, that are healthy, is going to be built on value. Can you add value to someone? I want to think about that. If you look at that relationship, as they went on in their journey, by the time they got into where they were going, back to her town, Ruth said to Naomi, I want to go and work. And she encouraged her. An impactful relationship still expects you to be able to initiate what will make your life better. An impactful relationship is not a parasitic one. Ruth said, I want to go and work. And the woman said, God bless you. Then go into this place, and she gave her instructions on how to go. She gave her instructions. If you go into chapter 3 of Ruth, you see Naomi saying, I need to think of this girl. I need to think of her security. I need to think about her future. An impactful relationship doesn't take advantage of the other person. She didn't see Ruth like a house help. After all, I don't have a son. She knows that already, so let me keep using her. Naomi said, I'm going to think of her security and her future. And she told her, she showed her the path to go. an impactful relationship that is positive thinks of the other person like yourself. She saw Ruth like a young woman, and she said, I must make sure that her life is better. And then she went on, showed her how to go about it, to be the wife of Boaz, and then see how the story went. You will see them communicating. When Ruth got to Boaz's place, at a point they fed her. What did she do? Read that story. She ate the food and left some for her mother-in-law. Said, I must keep some. That's a relationship that is not selfish. Love is not selfish. You can't think about yourself in a relationship. She brought food back to her mother-in-law. They were constantly communicating. Naomi was an accountability partner to Ruth. She came back and told her the things she did, how she did it. And even in that relationship, seeing that Naomi had wisdom, she still didn't wait for Naomi. Naomi told her, go, when you get to the house of Boaz, uncover his feet and sit there. Some of the things that Ruth did, Naomi didn't tell her all of it. She also improved herself in the relationship. If you're going to be impactful, Ruth gave of herself a sacrifice. She was impactful in the life of Naomi, and Naomi impacted her life positively as well. You see, at the end of the day, Ruth came into the lineage of our Lord Jesus Christ because she decided to go in a relationship that was impactful with her mother-in-law. It looked hopeless. She looked out for strength in her, despite the hopelessness around her. You might have a relationship with your wife or your husband, or even your children. It looks hopeless. A lot of times we're dwelling on the weaknesses of the other people. Have you tried to bring out the strength? What strength have you got? Naomi had a God that Ruth didn't know before. But through her, she knew that God, and her life was impacted in a way that generations forever, until we see Jesus in glory, until we see God in glory, we're going to be talking about Ruth. How do you go about? What do you need to see in somebody you will cultivate an impactful relationship or a relationship with? Number one, look out for purpose. Ruth was purposeful. She was intentional. Like Mrs. O, I looked out for purpose. I was intentional. I just gotten into the bank, and I saw in this woman a strength which was probably not, it was not in agreement with my first encounter with her. But I knew if my career as a banker was going to take a leap, I needed this kind of person. And she poured into me. And all my years in banking, I stood out to the glory of God because I started on a right footing. Somebody stirred me up. Look for a relationship of purpose. Find purpose in that relationship that you are in that even doesn't look great. Find purpose. Why are we together? Why did God bring us together? That husband, that wife. Because some relationship you can do away with. The ones you can't do away with, find out purpose and follow that purpose. Be intentional about it. Maybe you are in his life to ensure that he doesn't go into error. Just pursue that purpose. Maybe you are in his life or in our life to ensure that our ministry goes well. Look out for purpose. Look out for purpose in that relationship and pursue it. Then look out for people who are going to bring out the best in you. They push you to be your best. Those are the kind of people you want to build relationship with. And bring into your inner circle. Because of time, I'm not talking about later, we may get to that. People who are going to bring out the best in you. They push you to be your best. They critique you, but not for you to lose your self-esteem, but for you to aspire better. Look out for people who are going to bring out the best in you. Look out for accountability partners, people who are going to make you fulfill your commitment. They're going to hold you up to what you have said you will do and make sure that you fulfill it. Look out for people like that. Look out for encouragers, people who can encourage you to be the best that you should be. and look out for people who are available, because communication is key. Without communication, you really cannot have the best of relationship. They need to be available. Some of us look out for mentors that we cannot even reach. People can mentor you in different ways, I know. Just by listening to somebody's messages and all of that can be your mentor. But somebody who you know you need to follow up this one, you need to be able to communicate with that person. Look for people who are available for you to continually report to you. They point to you, and you are also a blessing unto them. It is very important. And then how do you sustain relationships? What do you need? I'm just going to mention a few because of time. We're still going to have time to answer questions. Number one, trust is key in any relationship. I tell people in counseling that once the bridge of trust is broken, then there's no relationship. Because trust, you must be able to believe me. For all I say, the Bible says love believes all things. Trust, mutual respect. We must respect each other. Age has nothing to do with it. Whether you're young, Mrs. O is 8 years older than me. She calls me her friend. There's mutual respect in that relationship that we have built for 24 years. And it's been one of the most impactful relationships of my life. Mutual respect, communication. You can't do away with this in relationship. Communication is very key. Empathy. Those are things that build and help you to sustain relationship. Empathy. You must be able to go into this person's shoes and feel what this person is feeling. And commitment. I want you to just name 5. Commitment to that relationship. You must be committed into that relationship. And relationship, impactful ones, is a personal goal. Offer went back. Ruth stayed because she saw purpose for her in that relationship. Ensure that. As I round off this segment of it, we're going to go to the time when we get to ask questions. Like I told you, relationships are assets. You see, we're African people, and I'm sure even for people that are not Africans, you see, when you want to do an event, I'm just going to give you an example. You want to do an event and you're thinking of your expenses. You know, sometimes you're not thinking of, what people will give you. But you see, when you have good relationships, you have assets. Because at the end, somebody was sharing with me, I did a birthday and people gave me over 20-something thousand. There's no way you can account for that when you're adding up your assets. But you see, from relationships, people get to support you. I'm just using events, but you don't do it because of money, because of need. People get to support you, something you couldn't have accounted for that. But that's the wealth, that's the value that relationship brings to you. Apart from the fact that they get to be at your events and all of that. They bring value, even of resources to you. Relationship must be an asset. Have you checked your relationship? Is it an asset to you? Are they assets? Some of us have relationship liabilities. The people who sap you, who drain you of energy, their liabilities onto you. When you meet with them, when you have conversations with them, you end up being sad. They are liabilities of relationships. And it is important. When you have liabilities, you need to see how to combat them. In 2006, a woman was discovered, Joyce Vincent, in North London. She was discovered, a dead body, a skeleton was discovered in her apartment. And it was said that the woman had died 2003 from whatever test they did. She had died over 2 years before that time. And nobody knew. She had siblings. She had people she had family. But nobody knew that Joyce Vincent had died since 2003. Our story, I read that story some time back, and I imagined, can people be this relationship bankrupt? Some people don't just have liability relationships. Some people are relationship bankrupt. And that's what I call the story of Joyce Vincent. Nobody looked out for her until her money in the bank could no longer pay her rent. And she needed to be evicted. That was when she was discovered. Some people like isolation. God didn't create us in isolation. He created us for relationships. Are you relationship bankrupt? You need to check. There are toxic relationships. So when I say that, yes, make every relationship impactful, I want you to understand that sometimes some relationships are more impactful when they are at bay, when you keep them afar. Toxic relationships. You need to also check that. in your life. Make sure your relationships are asset. So I want to leave this with you. Do relationship audit regularly. There are people who are in your inner circle that needs to go to your outer circle. There are people who you need to keep at bay, but still maintain cordiality and relationship with them, so that you yourself can be healthy in your life. God didn't create us in isolation. He created us to relate with one another, to make the best of it in life. And I pray that you will have great relationships with everyone around you, because the Bible says, as much as the light within you, be at peace with all men. I'll see you in the question and answer segment. God bless you.